And here we go with part 2 with Esoteric from Czarface. I nearly stumbled upon my words there. Esoteric from Czarface, part 2 with Lost Art podcast. Welcome back. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Helmut, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, this is a real simple question, but like, have you worked on any solo stuff during the lockdown that you think, okay, I've got a bit of time to myself, I can do this. I don't really need the other guys right now. Not that the internet doesn't exist or anything like that, but or are you doing Starface stuff during this time?
A little bit of both. I have a lot of solo stuff that takes a backseat to Czarface because the Czarface stuff is I'm really passionate about. I love the direction that we're going with the Czarface stuff, and it's a lot of fun to work with 7L, who's one of my best friends, and Deck, who is a legend in his own right. And the three of us really hit it off and have a lot of fun. And it's just like one of these things where, you know, I can record a song rapping about whatever, but if I make a song rapping about, you know, the type of things that we grew up on, the type of things that inspired us, you know, with Deck, it makes it that much more fun. And you got to love what you do. And that makes everything surreal. It's still surreal, you know, and I've known him since like the late 90s, but it's still like, shit, man, I'm going into this restaurant with Inspecta Deck from the Wu-Tang Clan. I'm doing this. You know, it's still in the back of my head all the time, you know, and he educates me on a lot of things that, you know, he was privy to just based on his experience, because in the 90s and, you know, 2000 or whatever, he's seen it all, man. And a lot of the things that I was just a fan of, very enthusiastic, super fan of, he's lived, you know what I mean? And he tells me stories that would just blow your mind, you know, and it's just like, wow, I can't believe I'm in this position.
It must be pretty good to have someone like that in the bands, because like if you're kind of because if you've got like certain like offers coming in and he's like, see that shit, knock that shit on the head, never talk to that, kind of do it again or whatever like that, and you're like, really? You know, trust me on this, no to that, yes to this, and you're like, really to that, and he's just already done it. Must be super, super helpful.
And that happens a lot because, you know, he is very, his business is right. He understands the art, but he also understands the commerce. He understands how the business works. And it's, you know, an education a lot. You know, a lot of times when we talk, it's just, we're bullshitting, but a lot of, you know, there are other times where we're talking about, you know, the business aspect and how to do this and how to do that and who to avoid. And it's a lot of fun, man. But you know, there has been a lot of solo things that I've recorded and have just put on the back burner. There'll be a time when it comes out. I'm not really rushing to put it out because it's already recorded. You know what I mean? It's not like a thing where maybe I'll lose the vibe or the touch or nuts or sound, you know, like
it's in the bank. It's ready to go whenever.
Sound older. Yeah, it's ready to go. Yeah. And it's just, you know, I would say like on the Odds Are Against Us, the song Burrito, I had just written, it's just me on that track, and I had just written that as a silly song about going to get a burrito and having a bad reaction to it. And I didn't write that with Czarface in mind. And but we put it on the Czarface record, you know, and you know, Deck was like, what's the name of that song that we did where you know, we were about to do a show in LA, I think it was. And he was like, the song about you shitting your pants and shit. And I'm like, I was like, yeah, that's just, you know, burrito. It's just because the burrito thing. He's like, yeah, right. Yeah. People like that shit. I'm like, yeah, no, I know. But I didn't want to say, hey, want to write a song about shitting our pants? Yeah. So I just kind of did that on my own, but put it under the Czarface umbrella. Sure. and it just kind of opened up a different chamber of the Czarface thing, and that might be like the the gastrointestinal chamber of Czarface. I don't know, the food poisoning chamber. And
that's good.
And
that's cool.
I do want to add that despite Deck's status with Wu-Tang Clan, there's nobody that's more do your thing. He's just very like he encourages us to take it in whatever lane we want to take it. In that sense, he trusts us. He trusts 7L to do these crazy things to the production. He'll lay down a verse or whatever. And I just feel like, it's an honor to have him co-sign what we do and just trust the process. You know what I mean? And
because musically, the albums are very different. Like Fistful of Peril is almost, it's got like a John Carpenter kind of synth vibe to it as well. There's a lot of that kind of deep synthy stuff in there, you know. And then as you progress, you start hearing more and more of the I always call it kind of comic book music, where it's got those big kind of orchestral swells and type of stuff in there as well. The character starts evolving as the records kind of progress as well. So it's always interesting to hear, because I think 2019 was a big year for you guys. I think you had like 3 records that came out in 2019, and
maybe
you can tell that they kind of grow. Essentially, I don't know whether they were done sequentially, like the last one out was the last one made, but you can tell that there was some messing around with kind of that sound to try and get there as well. So I'm very interested in hearing what the next thing to come out is. But I was reading you were involved with John Cena's rap album.
Yeah.
So I want to know first of all what that was like, and second of all, could you beat John Cena in a wrestling match?
Oh, in a wrestling match? No.
Well, you could in a real fight then. Okay, all right. Yeah.
No, before, he was always John Cena.
Yeah.
But he was always just John, and who was one of my good friends' trademark. His cousin was John, and John would come by, and we'd go out just doing whatever, and I'm like, this is awkward because John is this jacked guy, he's a bodybuilder, and we're just like some schleps, some regular dudes walking around. and he's like, John's going to come out with us. I'm like, all right, that's cool. So we have some backup, we have some protection, and
we could be a little bit cheekier in the bar now.
Yeah.
Let's get loud. Let's see what happens.
This here, Pepper, you want to say hi? Say hi.
Yeah, Pepper.
Pepper.
Food's here. Okay.
Awesome.
So I could never beat him in a wrestling match. Probably not in a street fight. Definitely not in arm wrestling. But if we battled on a mic, I'd probably beat him.
I think we know who the winner is. Yeah.
Okay, so that's one of.
I
just want to say that's one of those. That's one of those things like where, I grew up a big fan of wrestling, like the Road Warriors and Pepper's okay. She's all right. I'll bring her up. That whole era, and for John to include us in his theme song, his original theme song, and put us on his album was just such a blessing. But it was, when it happened, it was like 2004, 2005, that era. I feel like maybe even earlier. I don't know, but it was like, wow, this is moving so fast.
Yeah.
And you couldn't really understand the gravity of the impact that he made in wrestling at that point, because it was like he had this, he was the Hulk Hogan of that time.
Yeah.
And we were kind of, on the very fringe of it because we did his theme music and stuff, but it was like, to put it in perspective now, it was such an honor to be part of that. And it really came from our friendship before he blew up. And it was all, I made records with his cousin, Trademark, a good friend of mine, and we all used to rap and shit. And
Would you have known him since the Prototype days, or would have been John Cena?
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Even before the Prototype days, and like when he was doing the Prototype thing, Mark would be like, yeah, John's wrestling and shit. I'm like, oh, cool, man, cool. You know, he's wrestling with Samoa Joe and doing, you know, these type of things. I'm like, that's cool, man. And then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but because it certainly wasn't all of a sudden for him because he was fighting to get there. But for me, from what I was listening to, Mark was like, yeah, well, he's in the WWE now, and you know, he needs a theme song and so forth. And 7L had the beat. And it was a cool time, and yeah, and you know, he's a great dude, you know, and we're lucky to have fallen into that situation.
He does seem like a good dude, to be fair.
Definitely,
yeah, he is. And you know what? If you brought him into this podcast right now,
do it.
He would be able to talk about every action figure you have.
Yeah, he's one of those.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Because him and Mark, they loved all the same shit that we love. You know, he talked about G.I. Joe. You know, he's that guy.
He's in my favorite Transformers movie just because Grimlock is in it. That's the only reason.
Grimlock.
That's for like 5 seconds. Grimlock is in there.
You know what? He's a really good actor. Like obviously,
he's getting there. He's definitely getting there.
He was in that movie. He's in that movie Trainwreck, and I swear to God, he's so good in it with Amy Schumer.
Oh, he's great in it. He's great in it.
Like, I wasn't blown away by how good he played the character he was given. Like that.
That's the movie. Trainwreck is what led him. Convinced James Gunn to cast him in the Suicide Squad that's on the way.
Oh, right.
And Peacemaker, which is going to be on HBO Max.
Excellent.
So that performance in Trainwreck is what attracted James Gunn to him to put him in, you know, these bigger roles, and you know, which is going to be the Suicide Squad. You know,
very cool.
I'm looking forward to seeing more of them. Yeah.
So we're going to wrap this up, and what I want to do, as we wrap this up, I want to show you a couple of hip hop LPs, and I want you to just off the top of your head, give me a little soundbite.
You're not going to do a Nardwar on him, are you?
Nah, I'm not. I wasn't watching him when he was a child, so I couldn't do that.
When you were 7 years old,
you shit your pants after a burrito. I'm going to run through a couple of LPs. Some are going to be close to your heart, and I don't know about the rest of them. But I want you to just tell me what you think about these LPs. Okay, so our first one up here, Jedi Mind Tricks.
Oh yeah,
Legacy of Blood.
Oh man, Legacy of Blood. I mean, that's obviously maybe not obviously for listeners, but that's, you know, an album that's near and dear to me. Vinny's one of my best friends.
Yeah. So
in Stoop, we've toured. Had some of the best memories of our lives touring on the heels of that album, the entire United States. So
because you were doing Army of Pharaohs as well, yeah.
Yeah. We did a lot of Army of the Pharaohs records and so forth. But that record there was 7L and Esoteric, you know, with Jedi Mind Tricks. And we would go all over the country and just kind of have a lot of fun. I don't know how else to phrase it, but those memories are
speaking of touring, have you ever been to Ireland?
I feel like, and I've been saying this to my wife, that's like the one place, you know, and I'm Irish, not Irish like you, but you know, I would aspire to be.
A better name than us. You've a much better name than us.
Oh, but
you're not, what I'm saying, when you're coming back into Ireland, they're not even going to check your passport. They're going to see that name. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, let them in.
Well, the thing is, like, I tell people, you know, that are actually from Ireland that live here that I'm Irish, and they're like, you're not fucking Irish. So I'm very careful about
bullshit. You get an awful lot of that. Because I'm a promoter by trade, so maybe when all this bullshit is over, we can talk about doing some Czarface stuff over here.
Oh, would love to. That's the one place in Europe that we haven't been to, and it's just like I can't get over there. And I feel like that's the one place that
we could do.
I would really love to see.
That's because I turned down Wu-Tang Clan a couple of years ago.
There. We've been there, except for Ireland.
I saw the rider for Wu-Tang Clan. I had to pass on it about 10 years ago. I was like, no, it's not for me. So I'm definitely interested in having you guys over. Right, next one up. What have we got here? Okay. Okay, here we go with second one. Booyah Tribe with New.
Oh yeah. Yeah, New Funky Nation for sure. That's rest in peace, Gangsta Rit.
Yeah.
That was a record that I probably first experienced via UMTV Raps.
Yeah.
One of the first videos, I think it came out probably 89, 90, something like that. And I was like, those guys, I don't want to mess with. Like,
yeah.
There's, Angry Samoans, I don't want to. Yeah.
Exactly. They done Another Body Murdered with Fate No More, and you done the Fate No More We Care a Lot video as well during the lockdown, didn't you?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And, yeah. Okay.
What's next? Next up, Ultramagnetic MCs.
It's one of the best records ever recorded. It might be better than Critical Beatdown.
Yeah.
It's just
I think so.
I can the first 3 albums from Ultra, in my opinion, rival any run. EPMD had, in my opinion, have the best 4-album run in hip hop history.
I was going to do Back to Business, actually. I was going to pull Back to Business out, actually.
I don't know about Back to Business.
Yeah.
I feel like was that like the re-recorded version?
I think so. Yeah. Just to be weird about it, but I thought I'd stay easy.
Yeah. But that Ultra record is just
crazy
insane.
good. Next up, Master P with Ghetto D.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Master P. I just know that obviously I know about the pixel, the pen and pixel art and so forth, and I never really got too into Master P or Silk the Shocker or.
I was the same. For me, it was those his record labels covers that you could tell exactly what that's his. Yeah,
that's what I mean. The pen and pixel art, that was like a very
big deal,
trademark thing. Yeah, and I mean the guy's a genius, but I just never really tracked down his music like that.
For me, there's a bunch of really good stuff, and the rest of it just I don't know where it came from. And next up, Kill It Will.
Another classic, man. I remember putting that, I had that on cassette in my headphones, like the Sony Walkman, and just listening to that and feeling like I could beat the shit out of anybody while listening to it.
It was one of those.
And that's one of those things that, you need that motivation sometimes if you're playing basketball or you're just kind of just carrying yourself. You need a little bit of your own theme music to get you to kind of throw some elbows or whatever. That did it.
That's a big one. Okay, what we got coming up next? Daletron.
Oh, Daletron. Oh, yeah. Classic
record. I love it. Amazing album.
Del is one of my favorite rappers ever. I was lucky enough to tour with him in the late 90s, and we went all over Europe. We visited Stonehenge together. And one of my favorite stories about Del is that it was Del and Casual that we toured Europe with, and we drove 5 hours out of the way to go see Stonehenge because a lot of us wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And Del never got out of the car.
Really?
He stayed in the car. Yeah, because he had been there before.
Oh, okay.
But he's never got out of the car. I'm like, still, it's fucking Stonehenge.
Go again, everything will be fine.
Yeah, and you know what an impressive thing Stonehenge is.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the monoliths and looking at them, and the whole time when I'm trying to enjoy that, in the back of my mind, I'm like, damn, Del's still in the damn van. He's not getting out.
I can't enjoy this knowing someone else is not here.
Isn't enjoying it.
Why is he not here? Why is he not
I couldn't believe, So, and he's just one of those MCs that just sounds good on anything.
He's crazy good.
Working with the Automator, man, they make great music.
Okay, second to last one.
Yeah, man. That record was like a Bible to me when it first came out. I wasn't even I feel like the Malcolm X imagery, I wasn't familiar with that. My first, that record cover was something important to me. And then I realized it was, paying respect to Malcolm X. And I put that all together probably after the fact. I was so young, and there's so many good records on that album, especially I'm Still Number One, which is probably my favorite KRS BDP song of all time.
Crazy good. Right, our last one before we finish up.
Oh yeah, Rhyme Syndicate. I can't say enough about the Rhyme Syndicate album. I could go out to my truck and show you the CD because I have the CD in the truck. Nat the Cat, While You've Been Waiting, is probably my favorite record on that compilation. What Ice-T did with the Syndicate was so inspiring at that time. I went out, I made my own Syndicate hat. I got it embroidered with the dollar sign, the S, with Syndicate. And that was, I was just pretending to be down with it. I was so young at that point. I made hats. I made a Syndicate hat. I made a BDP hat. I put, when I wasn't putting the Batman logo shaved in the back of my head, I was putting Third Base or something like that. And I finally, found my own voice. But at that point, I was just a super fan. Yeah. That Rhyme Syndicate album, Bronx Style Bob, Toddy T, and of course Ice-T. And it was also a platform for Everlast, who went on to make, the House of Pain shit.
A bajillion dollars,
I have a confession to make about House of Pain. For years, I just presumed they were from Boston. That's so fucking crazy. Until people were like, I was talking to people going, there's a lot of great fucking hip hop, like House of Pain. They're like, what are you talking about? They're from New York. One of them's from Latvia. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? wait, what? They're like, what did you think they were? And I was like, I don't know. I guess I just presumed they were from.
Well, I think because Boston has a lot of Irish folk there, but he was also rocking the Celtics jersey.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
In the Jump Around video, and I think they shot it in New York. I'm not positive, but it definitely had a Boston vibe to it. And I did not know. And I'm older, so I knew all about Everlast. I bought the album with the Knack on it. I bought the Rhyme Syndicate record. And he was a guy that was down with Ice-T as far as I was concerned.
That's how I found that as well. Ice-T is my favorite rapper probably of all time since I was a kid.
Oh yeah. Man, we could talk about when I was talking about the Mount Rushmore with Kool Keith.
Yeah.
Ice-T would be there as well. And Chuck D and maybe Rakim or something like that. It's tough. But I mean, I'm Your Pusher, Lethal Weapon, Drama. He has so many records that were groundbreaking in the fact that he would rhyme about positive things, or turn a negative into a positive with things that he wrote. And he's been there since the beginning.
Exactly. When I was a kid, like OG and Home Invasion were just like that was in the Walkman 24/7. Like
wind up looking out a Ziploc.
Yeah,
like Ziploc is like the best under 2-minute song.
Yeah, it's crazy
in the history of rap.
I think The Tower is probably my favorite Ice-T song.
Oh yeah,
it's so evil, but it's
got a lot of metal to it.
Yeah, it's but mad evil.
I'm gonna eat dinner in a minute.
Yeah, done. That was us wrapping up, but
I'm just saying that to say this. After I eat dinner, I'm gonna put on Ziploc from OG. I got a dope pit bull named Felony. Got 6 gold albums. So what you telling me? Ice-T is dope because he's an MC with the accolades, and he'll rap about it's not bullshit. If I say I'll crush planets and throw Venus at you and whatever, it's all fictional shit. He's saying things that are real and he's lived it, and it just the guy's an inspiration.
Exactly, absolutely. Anyway, we are done. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for taking the interview. Yeah, I really appreciate it. It was so much fun.
That was fun. And hopefully we'll get you back in a couple of months. We'll do a part 2 and we can expand upon this whole thing.
Yeah,
I would be happy to. And this has been a pleasure, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Good night. Enjoy dinner.
Yes.